Hi and welcome back to Bounce Forward with me, Tiff Hall. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders, past and present. So many of us get stuck in a rut with our fitness. Years go by and you're still doing what you've always done, but for some reason, it's no longer working for you. Have you experienced this? It worked back then, but now it's causing you issues. Either the body isn't recovering as quickly as it once did, maybe there's hormonal changes, perhaps you've lost some flexibility or fighting a niggle that just won't go away. You know the old ways aren't working. You've changed, but your fitness regime hasn't. So it makes sense that as we age, we tweak our training programs to suit where we're at in life. We can't train in our 40s like we did when we were in our 20s. All those box jumps and burpees I used to do make me cringe now. It's unrealistic. Today, I'd like to talk about training through the decades, how your training should change every 10 years, generational fitness. In my 20s, it was all about smash training, no pain, no gain training. I wanted to go as hard as I could. I was doing heaps of cardio, plyometric jumping movements, and full contact taekwondo. I was also mixing in a lot of HIIT and HURT, high-intensity resistance training. In my 30s, I had my babies and had to slow down. I moved to pre- and postnatal training, and my recovery from pregnancy was long. It took me a while to rebuild my strength and fitness. My focus was Pilates, the pelvic floor and core, and particularly the lower abdominals. Now, as I near 40, I'm switching to more strength training, mobility, and Pilates. I'm mindful of the fact that after 30, you begin losing roughly 1% of your muscle mass each year. Because muscle burns fat stores, this loss actually leads to fat-based weight gain. You can actually reverse this process and fight osteoporosis by weight training. So today, I'm very excited to welcome Gen Fit trainer Tanya Poppett onto Bounce Forward to chat generational fitness and the importance of switching up your training as you age. Tanya is a mum of two, a master trainer and fitness coach, certified pre- and postnatal trainer, and shares her unique blend of strength, HIIT, maintenance, and mobility workouts with the world. Tanya, thank you so much for joining me on Bounce Forward. I'm so excited to speak with you. I have followed you for so long and been fangirling over your training methods and your style. Why is it so important that we adjust our training as we age? Because we go through different, you call them seasons, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, our physiology changes and our bodies change as we get older, so we need to accommodate for that. And we also need to accommodate for the change in our lifestyle as well. I don't know about you, but now that I'm a mum of two kids, I cannot sleep as much as I used to. And I used to be able to get a great night's sleep every night, have a great recovery so I could train a lot more and still get results. Whereas now, my priority is on recovery. Then if my recovery is not great, I have to change my training style or training session for that day. And then as we progress, as we get older, we're losing our muscle mass, our fast twitch muscle fibers decrease. If you don't move it, you lose it. That's what you've got to think about. And just because you're getting older doesn't mean you need to slow down your workouts. You need to keep firing those muscles and just accommodate for where you're at in your day-to-day life and meet your body where you're at.
That's perfect. Meet your body where you're at. So, Tanya, has your training changed over time since you started?
Yeah, definitely. I was heavily into running growing up, and it stayed with me for a long time when I was first starting my venture into resistance training as well. But yeah, when I got pregnant, I found that I couldn't maintain running while I was pregnant, just because it just didn't feel very good for me, and I couldn't manage my heart rate very well. So I ended up stopping running and going for like interval bikes and all that sort of thing. And then returning to running postpartum, like I haven't really stopped breastfeeding or being pregnant since I had my first baby over 4 years ago. And I found it's really impacted the way I recover, like when I'm breastfeeding, and the strain it puts on my joints when I run. So I am trying to get back into running at the moment now after my second baby, but I'm just being a lot more progressive with how I intertwine it into my routine because I do miss it. I love a run just for the mental side of it. But, I'm very much into my resistance training now, and my focus isn't on necessarily feeling dead or exhausted after a workout. It's just about moving to feel good and moving to get stronger.
That is so true. I was like in my 20s, all about HIIT and smash training, no pain, no gain kind of thing. And as I've grown older and since having my babies, it just doesn't fly anymore. And like you say, I just can't recover as quickly. So the strength training comes into it. But for someone who is in their 20s or 30s and wanting to have children and set their body up for that exercise-wise, what should they be doing?
I would get to know your pelvic floor. I know you hear a lot about it these days, and in some respects we hear that we have to train it and like it has to be strong, it has to be Kegels and all this sort of stuff. But you might even be overly strong in your pelvic floor. You might be too tight there, and so it's good to know your pelvic floor. So I'd go to a women's health physio even when you're pregnant or even if you're trying to get pregnant, and just see where you're at in that respect, and they could be giving you exercises and a routine to help you prepare for that side of things, because we do want that muscle to be functional, not necessarily super strong, but functional, so it can carry us through our life and help us have a good quality of life. As you get older, I suppose the main thing is to just keep finding things that keep you interested in fitness and not necessarily having to change your whole routine, but just make it more manageable for you, because when you start having kids and other responsibilities, it's going to be difficult to find that motivation. So it's got to be something that you enjoy.
Absolutely. I always say you got to find the right fit for you, the right fitness. And for me, that was martial arts and full contact stuff. But nowadays, I think I'm with you, resistance training, it's just so important. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is about perimenopause, women in their 40s. How should they be training? Because we do alter our training as we get older, and maybe every 10 years it should be tweaked a little bit. If we're thinking about menopause and hormonal changes, is the resistance training the best way to go?
Yeah, well, resistance training is something that we're hearing lots about, especially for maintaining our bones, maintaining our muscle mass as we get older.
Yeah.
That's really important for longevity. And also high intensity training. But it's not the high intensity training that you might be thinking. Like when people think of high intensity training, they're thinking of the high intensity training that's going to put you in the hurt locker, that's going to make you huffy and puffy and make your muscles burn. And that's what we tend to gravitate towards because we think that that's giving us the best workout. But as we get older, we're actually wanting to make our muscles, our fast twitch muscle fibers work and get more power and learn to be more agile, so to protect us as we get older. And that sort of exercise needs recovery, and it's only a short bursts of energy that our energy systems need to recover from that sort of exercise. So when we say high intensity training, you might be getting a sweat on and that sort of thing, but we're actually talking about more sprint-based, power-based exercises. And I know with my programs with GenFit, it's quite a skill to learn how to train like that. So what I've done is I've moved more towards laying a foundation for that. So we've still got a fairly even work to rest ratio, but we're learning how to increase the tempo of certain movements. So we do tempo squats where we're learning how to go slow on the way down and then power back up, so that we're using that those fast twitch muscle fibers, or we're learning to decelerate and learning to move side to side and prepare us so that when we do want to eventuate into getting into more powerful movements, that our body will allow us to do. So we don't want to jump straight into the deep end.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go from zero to hero. What are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen people make in their fitness?
I think everyone thinks that their workout needs to leave them dead, and we have had such a culture in the fitness industry of promoting those workouts where you're just like exhausted on the floor, and if you haven't given everything, you've not had a good workout. But your workout fits in with so many different aspects of your life and of your health, and of your well-being, that you can't just focus on one thing, and you can have a good quality workout without feeling exhausted. And yeah, I think there's just different ways to move our bodies, and the main thing is consistency throughout, and something that you can be consistent with.
I agree with you 100%. And I've seen the fitness industry change quite a bit from the no pain, no gain, all cardio, weight loss mentality to being more about strength and empowerment. Have you noticed that too?
Definitely. And I love it. I love seeing more women in the strength area of the gym, lifting weights, not being afraid to lift heavy weights. It's awesome.
Can you dispel a myth? If you don't have DOMs, is that a bad sign?
No, definitely not. We're trained where you might get DOMs if you're doing a new movement or if you've done too much volume. So I wouldn't say DOMs is a great thing, because then you're not going to be able to train or give it your all in your next session. You want to be able to do something repetitively. You don't want to do something really hard and intense and then be exhausted for the next week and even not work out, not move your body, or just move half-heartedly through the rest of your sessions. So I'd say it's okay if you're doing something new and you're doing new movements that you've never done before to have a little bit of soreness. That's expected, but you don't want to be sore all the time. And it's a good sign that you've done a little bit too much volume on that body part.
That is such good advice, because people are like, if I'm not sore, it's not a good workout. So that is such a good takeaway. What advice would you give to yourself, your young 20-year-old self? What advice would you give her?
Just keep trying different things. I was always a little bit I clung on to running a bit this is in terms of fitness, and I thought it's the best, it's the only thing that works for me, and I'm just going to run. And then when I became a personal trainer, I got opened up to new styles of training, and now I'm very open to trying new things, and I love it. But back then I kind of had this feeling that weights were for boys, push-ups were for boys, pull-ups were for boys, and I've changed that thinking as I've gotten older, and I love how us women are getting stronger in the gym, and our mentality has changed around that. And I also remember young 20 Tanya wanting to be able to do pull-ups and push-ups and just expecting to be able to do them and not actually practicing them. And they are a skill that
They are.
And you need to actually spend time on skills and things that you want to improve on. You can't just expect to be good at something straight away.
You have conquered them. That is such great advice. And do you remember when I was growing up, people would say, oh, don't train like such a girl. And that is just so not true. And nowadays, training like a girl, training like a woman, it's so empowering, and we can take that on,
Especially being a trainer, you'll see that women are badasses and they often train a lot harder than the guys.
They do. We can push through some pain, can't we? Thank you so much for coming on Bounce Forward, Tanya. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Wow, that was awesome. And I love Tanya's advice. As we age, we change, and so should our training. It's really good stuff. So if you have a burning question or topic you'd like me to answer on an episode, email me at bounceforward@novaentertainment.com.au. All the information about Tanya and her programs are in the show notes. Thanks for joining me and happy days.